Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the quarterly Be Well Coalition meeting. So grateful to and happy to see all of you here. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon to join us. I'm Rick Afable. I am the chair of the board of Be Well Orange County and Mind OC. It's my privilege to welcome you all here today. We have a lot of important information to discuss, a lot of new things happening. There is a lot going on. That's all we can say. And we're going to hear all about that. And a lot of it because of the work and the commitment that all of you have made to the work of Be Well. So without further ado, what I wanted to do was to first off thank Bank of America for sponsoring our lunch and sponsoring this meeting. So a little round of applause for Bank of America. Simon is here from the commercial bank, but I want to bring up Sherry Battle. Sherry on our agenda is later in the agenda, but she needs to leave a little bit. So she wanted to say a few things for us and to us. Sherry's with Bank of America and has some things that she wants to mention to us. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I think my biggest thank you is to all of you. You took time out today, several hours, mind you, before the holidays to invest in a very critical need for many of people out there in our community. And at the bank, there, it's mental wellness is the third leg of the stool. You've got financial wellness, physical wellness, and you're going to tip over if you don't have the mental wellness. So I want to say thank you. And it's been some time. Shoot, Marsh and I, we just goes around back 2018 and even prior. Our company has time out on take time on Tuesdays. We have mindfulness on Tuesdays that you can at 10 o'clock at your time, whether East Coast or West Coast time. We have 24/7 counseling over the phone for your kids, for the day-to-day issues to the critical issues. We've had our manager support programs through all of our teammates from the CEO all the way down had to go through Thrive. So many of you have probably read the book Thrive, and so that is, it started at the top at the CEO and it works all the way down. And so we're just hoping that we can inspire other companies to follow suit if they haven't already. And again, thank you for your time being here and your commitment to our members of our community. Back to you.
Thank you, Sherry. We're so grateful again for your support and all you do for mental health in our community. It's my pleasure to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Marshall Moncrief. Many of you, if not all of you, know Marshall as our leader, the leader of Be Well and Mind OC for a little over 3 years now. And Marshall and I were looking at some financial reports this morning. And we started reporting some finances, meaning that we started investing and seeking investment of Be Well in 2018. So we are ending up our 4th year and we'll be getting into our 5th year. A lot has happened in 5 years, to be sure. And we're going to hear much of that today. So Marshall, please.
Hey guys, good to see you all. And I'm going to be brief and pass the baton again here in a minute to Karen. Just to reiterate some things that Rick and Sherry had mentioned. Thanks to you guys for coming here. And part of the conversation Rick and I were having that he's referencing was looking at the growth of some of these initiatives. We're going to talk with you about some of these things today. And so you'll hear from the Be Well mobile program that's starting to expand at a city level. And hi, Natalie from Newport, an example of one of our city partners. And the campuses. And so many of you have been to and seen, interacted with the campus that was created in Orange in what was and still is an unprecedented partnership in Orange County across the public and private sector. And now we've got some renderings of the next campus, and the community is continuing to lean into that. So a lot has been accomplished. Probably the most important thing that's been accomplished, and we still have a lot of work to do, is the coming together of this room and the work that's translating out in the community through dozens and dozens of different initiatives and strengthening relationships amongst community members that are on the front line doing the work that needs to be done. And so we want to recognize that what Be Well reflects is a coming and strengthening of our collective effort. It's not something that the people sitting in this room weren't doing before. There's a lot of people in this room that have been doing a lot of hard work for a really long time. And Be Well is how do we come closer together to enhance and expand the impact of that work stronger together than we would be able to do on our own. And so congratulations to everybody and thank you to everybody as we continue that work and go into a really strong 23. One comment while Sherry is still here, another expression of Bank of America's contribution to this collaboration and the investment in community mental health is a film that some of you have seen and some of you haven't seen called Hiding in Plain Sight. And there was a tremendous collaboration with B of A and Ken Burns to create that documentary and a very important telling of what's going on in youth mental health. And so a little bit later, we'll watch a short clip of that and then talk to you about some community screenings that are going to happen. But I wanted to acknowledge that while Sherry's still with us because it's a tremendous body of work and a really important message. So thanks everybody for being here. We're looking forward to spending this time with you. And I'm going to hand you over to Karen Linkins, who's going to be our facilitator for today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Marshall, and thank you all. Well, I usually don't have to do this. I feel bad for anybody shorter than I am. Anyway, it's really wonderful to see you all, and I don't know if you have noticed, but we're doing this meeting a little differently, just like we do every time. So for the last many meetings since we decided that the pandemic was sort of under control a little bit, we've been doing a hybrid where we were doing a Zoom, and we had our Zoom chat whisperer, Nicole, and we had other folks working on the technical side, and then we had in person. But today, we're actually doing a live stream on Facebook. So every time we're going to keep advancing this, but I'm mostly excited about the fact that there are so many of you here. It's really wonderful. I think the last time we had a really large crowd was in 2019 in December. And so it's just wonderful to see you all today. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to take a few minutes just to give you a little bit of a, and I hope I get the clicker right here. Here's the agenda. Did all of you do the QR code and get your agenda? Oh, it's printed. Oh, so we killed some trees. Okay, that's good. So this is the agenda. You can see that there's a theme in this agenda. I hope that you can see that there's a theme. If you remember, what we're doing every year is trying to make progress on the blueprint. And for those of you who don't know about the blueprint, please go to the website and take a look at it. It was created by this community, and it's very important, and it's kind of our guidepost. It's how we organize and get more strategic about the work that we're doing. And what you're going to be hearing about today is some of the progress that has been made in aspects of the blueprint. And I also want to acknowledge Ann McCall over here, who is our graphic recorder. And she's going to capture the story of today because it's important for us to take a pause every now and again and to say, you know, where were we, where have we been, and where are we going? And that's really what the theme is for today. Okay. So the vision for Be Well was set by the community, and this is, you know, kind of the true north of the blueprint. It's that Orange County will lead the nation in optimal mental health and wellness for all residents. And we take that very seriously, and ultimately that's what we're measuring ourselves to. So when we've done that, then we've, you know, I guess Be Well will have done its job. We all know that that's a complicated endeavor. It's going to take a long time, but we're definitely making progress on that way. The whole idea behind Be Well was this idea, and actually Marshall kind of alluded to it. In this community, we have incredible resources, we have incredible talent, we have incredible passion around mental health and wellness. But it's done by individuals and organizations and systems and sectors that on their own are fantastic. You know, we always talk about them as cylinders of excellence, but together they can have more impact. And so all of this is really predicated on the idea that collectively we can come together and have a stronger impact if we align and coordinate and collaborate on our work. So that's really what the flags on the left side are depicting, the fragmentation that we currently have in the system. And then the picture on the right is really where we're going. And I won't go through all of the pillars and the actions and that sort of thing, but I do want to call your attention to the right-hand side, because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the 6 result areas and the work that is being done in the context of those result areas and the progress that we've made in achieving those results. So reducing stigma, preventing and acting early, closing the treatment gaps, improving the crisis response system, establishing community wellness hubs, and then aligning partners, policies, and programs. And with that, I think I'm going to start turning things over to Jennifer Braya and Luisa Estanga. Let me pull it up here.
I'm suddenly very jealous of Anne's step stool. I do believe I'm the shortest presenter of the day, so we'll see. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's really wonderful to see so many familiar faces after so long of being on Zoom. I am Jennifer Braya, and I am part of the Be Well Mind OC team. And I have the privilege of overseeing the Community Suicide Prevention Initiative for Orange County. We do this in partnership with the County Healthcare Agency, and we have some wonderful co-chairs that do this work with us. Dr. Michelle Rose from Hoag, we have Sarah Marquez from Pacific Clinics, and we also have Nancy Cooper, who has kind of like an emeritus co-chair from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So I wanted to go over, for those of you who are not familiar with CSPI, as we call the Community Suicide Prevention Initiative, what our mission is in this coalition. And our mission with CSPI is to prevent suicide by promoting hope, connection, and purpose in the community, especially among survivors and those at risk and their loved ones. And our goals of our initiative are pretty straightforward. We want to increase awareness about how to prevent suicide. We want to reduce the stigma that often makes individuals in need reluctant to seek help. We want to increase connectedness between individuals, families, and communities, and help individuals in need access services and supports when they need them. And we want to support lost survivors who have been deeply affected by the death of someone they cared about. And I'm reminded this week that there's a lot of, I'm sure many of you saw the suicide of Stephen Twitch Boss, who was the DJ for Ellen DeGeneres, and for all intents and purposes from the outside looked like he had a beloved and storied life, and has left a lot of people just wondering and scratching their heads at how could this be. And that's happening every day in our communities. And the purpose of CSPI is to work together to try to understand and reduce the stigma and help people who are in pain. And this is something that we realize that we cannot do alone. We have to do this together. And so I'm calling on every single person in this room. Everyone has a role to play in preventing suicide. And so please come and see me at the end of our day when we're continuing to network and get to know each other, because we could really, really use everyone's help. So in the theme of highlights of 2022 and what we have ahead, we had a lot of highlights this year. First and foremost was we had our first in-person community suicide prevention activity back in the spring, and it was wonderful. And then what I wanted to talk a little bit more about today was a series of events that we called community healing events that we did in partnership with the community. This coincided with our annual, is our second annual suicide prevention conference in Orange County. But we didn't want to have a conference where we expected people to just come to us. We actually wanted to reach into the community. So what we did is we partnered with 8 incredible CBOs in the community to put on these community healing events. And between the 8 organizational partners, there were 10 events that took place between October and November. There were over 800 people that attended and participated in those events. And it was really an opportunity to connect with new partners and strengthen relationships with existing partners. And it was just a wonderful time to talk about mental health, to work with organizations to understand what their needs are, to share resources with them, and really to define healing based on the populations that they're working with, and to really just celebrate life. And so, this is an example of the 8 different organizations that we worked with and the different populations. We hit different ethnic communities. We worked with organizations working with military and veterans. We worked with organizations targeting youth. So we definitely, the Council on Aging just had a well-attended event last week, and the final event in this community healing series is actually happening in January, and it is an event that's going to be happening on January 14th, specifically put on with a coalition of LGBTQ plus partners. And that is the QR code that I'm told is so sensitive that someone from the back room by the lunch can actually hold their phone up. And if you zoom in, you can get the information for this event. And please register and attend if that is something of interest to you. It's happening next year. But what I really wanted to do is to hand it over to one of our partners. Abrazar is a wonderful organization and a wonderful partner in the Be Well movement. And they put on a community healing event that Luisa is going to tell you a little bit more about, because it was really emblematic of how an organization works with community. It was a multi-generational event, and it was really an opportunity to come together and reestablish connections and really celebrate life, which is something that is very important for all of us to do at this time. So Luisa, please share a little bit about your event.
Okay, so how do I do that? Just to the right. Okay. Cool. Thank you. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Luisa Stanga. I am from Abrazar. I am the program coordinator of a home visiting program, but in my spare time, I like to help out with these other events because I am from a nonprofit and you know how that world goes. So, this was one of our events. We did the Spooktacular Harvest, and we were trying to combine both educating the community about COVID-19, the vaccines, the importance of getting vaccinated, trying to crush stigmas of it, as well as include mental health in that, because there was a lot of mental health issues that did come up during the pandemic as a result of it. So we tried to really put an intergenerational event together that could bring everybody together in the community, show them that by being safe, by being vaccinated, and you know just taking precautions, we could get back to a sort of norm where we can all get back together in person, have events, have a great time, do fun activities, while also stressing all of that within it. So this was kind of our intro to it. Today, we invite our community members to join us in a fun event where we are not only integrating healing, recovery, and resiliency from the pandemic, but we'll also be including components of the Wellness Wheel, which you will learn more about at each of our activities. We are supporting the community in having a COVID-19 vaccine clinic available to prevent significant illness leading to hospitalizations by providing educational updates about the boosters treatment, as well as giving out testing kits for rapid at-home test results. So the sky has never been the limit. We are our own limits. It's then about breaking our personal limits and outgrowing ourselves to live our best lives. Let all the troubles and obstacles you face strengthen you. Okay. So it looks really small on there, so I'll kind of explain what it says. So this was just more of a breakdown of our activities and how they related to mental health. So we had a costume parade. So there we wanted to welcome everybody to support each other through the obstacles of COVID that it has brought us. Today we joined forces to support our children in the community after getting vaccinated on while they proudly wear their costumes across the stage. So kind of giving back that self-confidence that we can get together, we can have these type of events again, as long as we're being safe. We also had lawn games out, so something that was taking was kind of going out and doing those fun park day activities out in the community. So we wanted to have that at the event to be able to support that mental health and showing them that we can get back to that. We also had an activity of painting sugar skulls. So the pandemic brought us a lot of extra stress, causing our mental health to be affected. While we paint our sugar skulls today, we have the opportunity to practice mindfulness and to take care of our mental health by using art to express ourselves and our feelings. So that's what we wanted to do, some creativity, kind of letting everybody express themselves after going through the mental health challenges of the pandemic. We also had a de-seeding pumpkins activity. So there we would cut open the pumpkins, let them reach in, take out the seeds. So that was supposed to be more of a, you can't touch your phone because your hands are dirty. You're touching the pumpkin seeds. You can't be checking any social media, text messages, anything like that. Just be present in the moment. And it was just a creative activity for them to do. We gave them little baggies to put their seeds in with little recipes so that they could take them home and kind of cook something with them. So they get to take it with them. Our next one, which I like because we've been mentioning stigmas a lot. So we try to do a smashing stigmas activity where we would have pumpkins with stigmas of the pandemic. So, for example, the idea that if you get vaccinated, then you're going to get sick with COVID-19. So some of those, and we had the community give us those ideas to write on the pumpkins, and then we would let them throw water balloons at the pumpkins, and that was smashing stigmas. So that one was fun. And then safety kits, we tried to provide, since it was an intergenerational.
Challenging. It's really, it's something that still creates a lot of fear for people. It's hard to do. It's even harder to do in community when communities are feeling stressed out and isolated and afraid. And so we have been kind of reframing some of our work as reasons for living and also creating hope, connection, and purpose. And these events are so important in doing that and addressing stigma. We always make sure that we slip in resources and make sure that people have access to phone numbers, mental health resources. They know where to go if someone they care about and love could be in trouble, while simultaneously getting people connected and socializing and focusing on positive things in life. So again, our work tying back to the result areas, we're trying to address stigma and getting people to services and accessing services when they need them as part of just everyday activities. So again, I will reiterate that this is not something that anyone can do alone. We need each and every one of you. So I'm encouraging you. My name is Jennifer Brya, and I would love to see you help us plan events in 2023. We want to have fun. We want to get out there. We want to who are feeling lonely and afraid and sad and disconnected. Help us do that. Thank you.
Okay, now I have to go like this. I'm going to put this up a little bit. Maybe. Well, maybe it's better if I just go like this. It's good for my quads. Okay, so you've just heard about one of our strategic initiatives. This is the community suicide prevention. And as Jennifer very nicely wrapped it up, it's related to result areas 1, 2, and 3. So you can see how we're starting to make progress in each of those areas. We are now going to transition and hear from a program that is related to result area 4, which is strengthening our crisis response system. And so I would like that entire table to come forward. And this is our Be Well Orange County Hope team. This is the leadership team working in the 5 cities. Thank you, Brandon. And we have Tamika Tates, the director. For those of you who were at the last coalition meeting, you heard from Tamika. But Tamika said, you know what, I can't do it alone because I don't do it alone. I have to bring my team. So her team includes Alyssa Guerrero for Newport Beach, Lance Lindgren for the Irvine Hope team, Memory Nunez, who is the leader of the Anaheim Hope team, Michael Romero, or Romero. I thought your name was Romero, but from Huntington Beach, and Tam Nguyen from Garden Grove. And Tamika.
Hello, good afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone. It was a pleasure talking about the team at the last coalition and talking about how great my team is. But these are the stars. These are our stars of our 5 cities that we currently have. And in reality, we're missing 3 people. If we could have 3 more chairs up here, but we can't. But I do want to take the time to acknowledge Shannon. If you can stand up. Shannon is the one who helps keep our team going day to day, with whether it be our calendar scheduling. She helps us going every day. This program is 7 days a week. This is not, Monday through Friday. So I want to acknowledge her. We also have Frank, who is our supervisor of our vans, and he's not here either, but he helps us keep going, right? Do you see that blue van going? That's Frank. Think of Frank. And last is Nicole. Nicole is, she is amazing with our data. And if we didn't have this data, we wouldn't be able to talk about the work that we're doing. So we appreciate her. But I want you guys to meet my all-star team. They're amazing. And when I say amazing, I just came here not too long ago. I don't even know if it feels like it's been a couple years in a good way. But they helped to make the transition very simple for me. And I appreciate them all. But I really want you guys to hear about them and who they are, because they're the ones who are making sure our teams are out here doing the work that is so needed in our communities. Okay, so just a second. And we're gonna have Lance. Lance is gonna start.
I think I drew the short straw. That's why I'm first, but oh well. No, I'm just here. We're just all going to talk a little bit about ourselves, why we're here, and that type thing. So, again, my name's Lance. I actually started with Huntington Beach when it first started back in July of 21. So I worked there for I don't know, 9 months or so, and then Irvine, the opportunity for an Irvine spot opened up, and we didn't really have a manager at that point. So, at the time it was Tony Delgado. He asked me, would I be interested in starting up Irvine? And I'm going, yeah, let's do it. I mean, it obviously moved me out of Huntington Beach, but, the past experiences, I've started programs and I go, yeah, let's do this. This is going to be great because, Irvine needs a team too. So I started, so I've been with Be Well since July of 21. Before that, I've done a lot of different things. I probably is close to 30 years in the mental health field. And some of this time was with the county, with the County of Orange. I was about 20 years there. And I've done anything from, adult outpatient, homeless programs, the CAT team, the PERT team. So I did a lot of it there. Even before that, I worked at College Hospital for about 8-9 years. Worked on various units. I had a great experience working, with the adolescent population, the children's program, the eating disorder program. They had a lot of different programs, the adult program. So a lot of experience. I retired back in not from here, obviously, but I retired from the county back in February of 21. And I knew this program was going to start soon. Right. And so I go, okay, let me retire. I'll take some relax for a little bit. And then at the time, I heard Tony Delgado was going to be the mobile supervisor. And I'm going, well, I just need to give him a call because I've heard about it. And I'm going, oh, this is going to be great. This is just, with the PERT team. When I started the first PERT team in Westminster. And if anybody doesn't know what a PERT team is, it's basically a clinician riding with an officer, a specific city. And this was going to be geared something similar. Instead of having an officer, he has to have 2 clinicians in a vehicle. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to be wonderful, right? So I asked Tony, I'm going, hey, Tony, tell me a little bit about this program. So he's telling me all about it. I'm going, oh my gosh, Tony, this is going to spread like wild. Because as the PERT teams just expand, when one police department got the PERT team, everybody else had to have it too, right? So I go, this is going to be the same thing with the mobile team. And I said, I'm in. Well, I first have interview, of course, but, so I interviewed for the position and, so I'm here now. So it's just, I couldn't think of a better place to be in. And, that rocking chair can wait a few more years. So, no, but I'm so happy here. This is my true calling, as most of you here, I like to help people, right? So I definitely love to help people, especially the underserved. That's my specialty. The ones in crisis, and I've got over 20 years experience just in crisis alone. So I'd love it. We've been also asked to talk just a couple success stories. And I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start with success stories because it's almost successes every day out there. But I'll give you a couple. One was there's a homeless gentleman in the city of Irvine, and he very reluctant to receive services. He's in the same spot every day. He's got a dog with him, and he expressed an interest, like, hey, I'd like to, get in a shelter. There's very hard to get in a shelter, especially with the dog, especially during COVID. It's just no openings, that type thing. Initially he didn't want any help, but he finally, okay, let's get some help. So like about 2-3 months down the road, 4 months, he finally says yes. So we, had to think outside the box, that type of thing. And, we were able to get him somewhere. One thing I didn't tell you about him, though, he has stage 4 cancer. Okay. And he goes, Lance, he goes, I don't want to die out here. I want to be in a home, just somewhere I only got about 6 months to live, So he goes, okay, so we finally got him in somewhere, and, find a place accepted a dog as well, and then some place that can serve his medical needs. So that was huge. He's just, we touch base with him every once in a while, and he's doing fine. He just loves it there. So he's still continuing to get his treatment. So, that's one story. The next story involves, just with our last presentation about suicide. Got called out to a juvenile who, she was like 13 years old. Suicide. The school called us, and client was at home. So we went out to the house. We were my partner and I were talking to the child, and yeah, I'm suicidal. Okay, you got a plan? Yeah, I got a plan. Okay, I was with the PERT team for like 15 years. I was like, okay, this is serious. She's got a plan. She knows what she wants to do. And I start talking to mom. Mom's at the house, and mom's just downplaying it. And and she goes, no, I'll just deal with it. My husband's coming back in a week, and we'll deal with it then. And I go, ma'am, do you realize I already asked your daughter? I go, she cannot even guarantee me that she's going to be safe tonight. We need to do something now. And she just, mom just started crying, right? And then I think it just hit her. It's like, oh wow, and then she still didn't not trust, but she was like, well, who are these guys coming to my house? So she called up a brother of hers who does something similar, not exactly the same, but relatively similar in another part of the state. So, okay, I'll talk to him, and, talked to him for a few minutes, and then, got off the phone with him, and I started, talking to her again, the mom, and she goes, okay, let's do this. So, did I prevent something? Well, maybe we could have, but now this child was now going to a safe spot where she received treatment. So, I mean, those are just a couple. I mean, there's many, many, many success stories, but I just wanted to share a couple. So, anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And next is going to be Tam. He's the manager for Garden Grove. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Lance. Hi, everyone. My name is Tam. My background is that I'm a paramedic. Right after high school, I joined the Army, became a combat medic, served the last decade of my life in the front lines of the war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and I also did a peacekeeping mission in Eastern Europe, which we all know it's kind of boiling over at this point. As a combat medic, I had this motto that I would provide the best medicine in the worst places. So that meant that I was going to make sure that I could do everything that I could to make sure that my friends came home alive. It was the worst of times. I joined in 2003, 2004. We had almost a death a day. And I remember, being 19 years old and not being able to call my family because there were so many casualties on our base that they cut the phone lines down that night so that we wouldn't notify the family before the DOD did. So it was pretty crazy back then. We thankfully we did come back, with everyone alive. There were a few injured personnel, and after that first tour, it really ate me up. Year of nightmares. I'd scream myself to waking up. I was suicidal because, you're afraid of going to sleep with your demons. And so, over the next few years in the military, I kind of overcame that, went on a few other deployments, normalized it. And when I came out, I said, this is my time to kind of give back to community. So I was at the fire station as a paramedic and, seeing lives every day. That's just a routine thing that we do. And I kind of realized that over the last few years that pretty much wasn't enough. I started getting phone calls from my friends that I served with in Iraq and Afghanistan. And almost every single time that they called me up, they said, hey, we got to go at this point in life. So when the opportunity at Be Well opened up to join the team, I talked to Tony Delgado and Ben Adams. Was going to be like, just like mobile crisis response. Like there was no TV show, there was no HBO, Netflix special. I had no idea what this was going to be like, but I had in my mind what it was going to be like because on an ambulance, we would respond to a lot of these calls, the suicidal ideations, the suicide attempts, the, failure drives, the 5150s. We would do it all. And we would take people to the worst places, the hospitals of all places, where they would be, triaged by the ER nurse and made to sit for 10 plus hours, waiting for a few lab tests and then being discharged. And the emergency physician is just say, hey, you need to see your primary care or you need to see your psychiatrist. What kind of help is that? We're just escalating the revolving door, basically. So obviously, the Garden Grove team for mobile has been running for quite a bit now. And I just wanted to share with you guys that from the front lines of mental health, we have done a tremendous amount of work. A good stat to go off of is in LA City, a busy day on a paramedic ambulance would be about 12 calls. I mean, that is like life and death. You don't have time to eat. You're washing blood off of the gurney as you're going to the next call. It is that busy at 12 calls. In the city of Garden Grove, we average about 15 calls a day in an 18-hour period. It is tremendous. The demand for mental health from the community as well as the police department, because a lot of times the police department and the fire department are responding to these calls and they say, hey, we're not equipped for this. This is not something that, a guy, a gentleman with a gun or, yellow turnout should be showing up to. It should be two clinicians in a van with resources to help de-escalate, empathize with someone, interview them and kind of move them on to that next step, albeit to mental health or substance use. That's exactly what they really need. So, from the bottom of my heart, ever since I was in the military, I had the support of the community and the nation. And now, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you for everyone's support for the mobile team because we could not have done it without you guys. And thank you. So I want to introduce my coworker, Alyssa. She is an amazing clinician with the Newport Beach team, and she'll say something about herself.
Hi, everyone. So like Tam said, my name is Alyssa Guerrero. I am a MFT. So just a little bit of background experience on myself. I started in the mental health field about going on 9 years ago, working with children and youth who were dealing with grief, having just lost a parent, a sibling, a caregiver, someone that took care of them and raised them. We would do grief camps out in Malibu in Los Angeles. And just for a whole weekend, we would dive in, get to the nitty gritty, try to help them realize and understand that they're not the only ones who are dealing with something. Fast forward, finishing my education, master's in clinical psych, specializing in marriage and family therapy. I started working with school districts, providing counseling to students. Garden Grove School District, I did elementary, and then Irvine School District, I did high school. It's great because the kids are there. When they need something, they just come to your office. But when I learned about Be Well, at first, kind of like what Tam was saying, we interviewed for, this position, but it was really hard to understand what it was going to look like. First mobile response team in Orange County. So I felt like no matter how much they described it, no matter what they said, it was really hard to envision, like, what is this job? Like, what am I actually going to be doing? Even through orientation and training, it was kind of really hard to pinpoint. But just learning about, this organization and how we were going to be responding to people, going to people's homes, meeting people on the streets. It sounds amazing. As a therapist, most people come to you, right? They seek you out. They come to your office. The nice thing about Be Well is we go to them. So we bring them the resources. We bring them, the connections, and we help them wherever they are. Just like going to the doctor, right? We're always like, oh, we'll get there. I'll make an appointment for next month. Not super important. I'm too busy, right? I have vacation coming up, or I don't know, I have too much work, or my kids are busy with sports. But with mental health, as we all know, the more and more you push it off, it just keeps building until it erupts. So the nice thing about Be Well is we're able to be there right when they're in their crisis. We are able to respond to them and help them and navigate with them. So just, I'm part of Newport Beach. What kind of mental health is in Newport? Everyone thinks, oh, there's no homeless in Newport, but there actually is. There's actually a lot more than you would think. But just, a really awesome success story that just happened last week. So I would rewind a couple months ago. My team responded to this house to help this elderly female. And her neighbor saw the big blue van outside of the house. And she said, I wonder who they are. It says Hope Happens Here. What does that mean? Who's this big blue van? Why are they here? So she Google searched us. She found our website. She thought this was amazing. And she just remembered, like, Be Well, hope. Those are the two words that she remembered. Fast forward to last week, I was on the van. My partner and I responded to the neighbor's house. She called us specifically because she remembered 2 months ago her neighbor needed us. And now today she needed us for her husband. We were able to, his meds had changed. He was kind of unstable. We ended up getting him transferred to CSU. He got into a CRP, which is a crisis residential program, just to be in a safe space until his meds stabilized so that he could go back home to his wife. That's just one of the stories. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your support. And this is Memory Manager for Anaheim.
Hi, everybody. I'm Memory. I feel like I'm looking up there. Hi, everybody. So a little bit about me. So I am Memory Nunez. I am the manager for Anaheim. And I'm going to take you back. Why did I even start this? So first, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've been in this field for over a year, right? A social worker. So I've been in this field for about 22 years. The reason I even got into this field is I feel like there's a lot of us who get into this because of maybe how we were raised and maybe some of the experience that we've gone through in life. And so, of course, I came from one of those traditionally great families, right? Kind of abusive, kind of that. You kind of turn to some maybe drugs and have some lifestyle changes and whatever. So I'm a product of that environment, and I grew up, and here I am, right? So I get that license, I get into this field, and I've been in the mental health sector for the past 22 years. So I've dealt from everything from substance abuse, people homeless, jail, collaborative courts, outpatient, the highest level of acuity before lockdown placement. I have done it all. So for the past 14 years, I had a job where that's where I was doing. So I was a part of the riverbed cleanup. I've started multiple programs while running another program. I've done everything. I've been in places where I was told that there's no wrong door, but where's the right door? I've been in places where I was told, hey, you meet every qualification, but you can't get into this program, but you can't get into that program, but you don't meet the criteria for this program, but you can't really come into here. Oh, wait, you don't meet the criteria for age for this one, but you're too old for that one, right? Tony Delgado has watched me since I was that little girl who used to wear the jeans and the tennis shoes, and I have a tank top and a little cardigan sweater because I was so hard, right? When I was growing up here, and I had a pretty bad mouth, and I was like, I'm going to get you in that program, right? And whatever it took back then, and that was he helped me grow up. And while I grew up, I learned that there's some places in where we work that although they said there's no wrong door, I couldn't get you in the door, right? And a lot of places that said, hey, we're here to help the people. And no, you weren't, because as a social worker, I couldn't get you in that door. And when Tony started with Be Well and talked to me about Marshall, I was like, finally, you're going to tell me that there's going to be somebody who has nothing to do with this thing here, has nothing to do with this thing here, has nothing to do with this, not gaining anything from anything, but we're just going to help the person. Oh, we're going to actually care for the person. They don't care if they're rich, poor, the color of their skin, what age they are. We're just going to help the person. Oh, that's great. Sign me up. So I started working here, and the best thing for me is, I say, Brandon, I was working at this other job, and I went to this community outreach thing, and he was there with these ducks. And these ducks, I love these ducks. And he was with this Be Well thing, right? And I was like, what are we doing, right? I was like, but I love your ducks. Can I get some for my staff? Like, somebody give me a duck, because I'm lonely. My staff are lonely. Like, I need a duck, right? He hooked me up, got me these ducks. And I went back to my staff at this program that I run. I ran the biggest outpatient mental health program in Orange County at the time. Went back, he sent me these ducks. I gave them to my staff, right? Unbeknownst to me, a year later, I went and I worked for this. I sit there and I work and I look at Shannon, because she saw me when I saw these ducks all over the table. And I saw that Brandon got this from, I was like, oh my God, these are these ducks. These are these ducks. But how small of a world that I was working, I thought was going to be my home, my everything, my career, when it really wasn't doing what it said it was. Me, who grew up in that environment, who wanted to die every day of her life, right? Tried every way and couldn't get there. But here I am, 22 years, and I finally found my career, my home, for someone who said, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna help you regardless of your money stature. If you came from the gutter or you came from the stars, you know what I mean? I'm gonna help you. You know, from the little girl who thought she was wearing those jeans and those tennies that had on a little tank top and a cardigan and said, hey, help me, I'm gonna help you, right? Here we go. And now I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And the best gift that I got today is when my team in Anaheim, where I get to work with the PERT team that Lance told me about, that Lance made, which is great, right? He was involved in that. They're the psychiatric emergency response team. My police officers, who I would have hated when I was a child because they didn't help me get out of an abusive family, right? I worked with them for the past 14 years. Happens to be the same city that I get to live in now. I get to work side by side with them and see the wonderful things they get to do. And because of that, I get to work with juveniles today who wanted to kill herself this last time. My team responded to her, built a relationship with her and her two mothers. She no longer wants to die, and we've been working with them weekly, following up with her, where she called us so that we could be there with the daughter with her to see her take an award at school. And if that's the best that we get to do today, I'm right where I need to be. So that's Be Well for me. Thanks for me.
Hello. My name is Michael Romero. They call me Romero. There's always so many Michaels in any given clinic that we work at. I just went by Romero. Prince, Romero, Madonna, it all kind of came together kind of cool, I thought, for a minute. But no, I'm a licensed psychiatric technician. I worked at Metropolitan State Hospital for many years. I worked at Patton State Hospital for many years. So different levels of disorders, some more extreme than others. Did that for about 15 years, found my way in. Kind of 2021 was the first day working with Lance and his experience with the PERT team and whatnot. And we had to not just be a part, we're that new entity that's coming along. We're that Be Well. You had some naysayers, we had to go out and prove ourselves. And that's what it ultimately came down to. Like you said, you walk up to an officer, I'm immediately putting my hands behind my back, like, oh, what do we got going? But it's building that. And we collectively have recognized that we're now a team, we're a group. So in the 16 months that we've worked, we started out doing 124 calls. We've got a lot of metrics coming out right now. And then now we're doing a little over 420 calls in a month, in 1 month. It's kind of like Tam said, it's profound to see the need on the streets. When, people, and we can drive down any street now in Orange County and you'll see somebody flailing, might be symptomatic. And just how nice is it to be able to pull up, carefully pull up at times, and offer them services or offer them water. And people think, what are you guys doing giving them water? It's like, if that's our way in to link with that person and we can engage with them, build a little bit of rapport, maybe that's the first time's not the time. Maybe it's the second time we come by. And then we could talk about, oh, have you been tied to any resources in the past? Oh, I used to be at Opportunity Knox. Ah, cool. Dr. So-and-so, the nurse practitioner, so-and-so. Once we build that, now we get those kind of success stories. So getting back to kind of the fragmentation, everything is coming together collectively throughout the county. With our staff now, we'll talk about Be Well it is a movement. We always say the movement. We say the campus. It's not a psych facility and whatnot. It's huge to be a part of this thing. Thank you, Marshall. I'll talk about a raise later, but it's really neat to watch. We are now in need. I mean, we can comfortably say that we're in need within the city of Huntington Beach, within the police department. We work with the police department, of course. We're what's called, when we have to recite this when we're out on the streets, we're the fourth piece of the 911 service. Imagine now our dispatchers have that fourth option. So now they can call somebody out. The police will call them out. We're working with the fire department. Fire department, they hate leaving homes where you might have a senior citizen. It's like, God, they don't meet the criteria for a hold. They don't. There's nothing we can really do. We can't transport them to ER. So they're that gray area of being on the fence. It's like, what can we do? Maybe look at some senior resources. So we can go on and on. Fire department, we're pacing probably 2-4 calls a day, depending on the day and the time. Obviously, it gets busier in Huntington at times. But now the challenge we're having is managing it all. When we start our shift now, we come on and we got 2 to 4 calls holding every single day when we get there. It's not one of those jobs you can just sit back and wait. When you get there, we got 2 calls. So we're learning to model the police model of prioritizing. How do we know? You got a suicidal teen, you have a schizophrenic male hanging out at Walmart, all those things. It's really been a phenomenal learning experience. So I can literally go through almost every department in Huntington. I'm the one that gets the most long-winded, so somebody give me Karen, shut up, Romero. But now we work with the police department, fire department, we work with code enforcement. What are you guys doing with code enforcement? Well, you get some folks, some of the hoarding folks, so the neighbors keep calling. What do we do? How do we deal with this? So we're not necessarily just going to pull up, hey, you need to go, bud. You need to pack up your 3 cars, get all this stuff out of here and grab some avocados on the way out. But you got to work through that process. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 calls later, we don't have a police response for that. We know it's not going to happen, especially with some of those long-term disorders. It's not going to happen right away. I need to get a better mic. So let's see, marine safety. I mean, you got, Huntington would drive a quarter. Success? We're a success. Okay. So our success is, I'll tell you, in the last 2 weeks, in one day, we have our 2 gals that are crisis intervention specialists. There are 5 high schools in the city of Huntington Beach. One of them's a remote high school. Of those 3 high schools, we transported 3 high school students to the Be Well campus so they can get services for suicidal ideations in one day. So the issue for us is just not having enough. It's emotional. It's amazing. It's profoundly amazing to be a part of that and watch the family and watch the child or whomever we're serving have the ability to make that choice. They get to now make that choice to, yeah, I want to get my kid some help, or for the adult that doesn't want help, finally to say, I've been 5156 times, but today I'm choosing to do it myself. So from the very heart, thank you all very much. Be Well, the movement. Peace.
So much history, personality up here. We had Ramiro go last for a reason. No, but I genuinely and appreciate all of them. And like Ramiro said, this is a movement. You will see us. You'll see more of us. You will see our blue vans. And so we really appreciate your guys' support, and I appreciate you all. Okay, so thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so that is result area 4 in action. You can see that we've made progress on strengthening the crisis response system. I think that through the comments that you have just heard about, in addition to what Romero was saying related to addressing the fragmentation in the community, these hyper-local efforts to get into the crisis continuum are really critical. And this is a really important partnership that we also are building with the county so that we can have the county crisis services coordinated with these hyper local services. And so that's part of the design as well. The intention is to be a continuum of care. And we really rely on the feedback of you all in terms of what you're hearing about these services. We are currently evaluating how the police departments are being impacted by the services, and the next coalition meeting we'll have data to share with you. So we're really excited about that as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to call up Terry Eiler and Andrea Mander. They are going to talk to you about the ACEs work that's going on. And that is related to result areas 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Mander. I'm with Be Well Mind OC, and we're going to talk about our, I don't know how to do this. There we go. Our trauma-informed network of care. Many of you in this room are part of our trauma-informed network of care, whether or not you know it, which is really exciting to see so many people. ACE's work has been happening in Orange County for years, beyond the time that we even had grants available to help fuel this work. So we had a nice foundation here when we started to do the ACEs work in Orange County. We are now going to be on our 3rd cycle of grant here in the county. Cycle 1 was really involved in educating providers and getting training on ACEs and trauma-informed practices for our clinicians. And cycle 2, which I had the pleasure of getting invited in to be the project manager for early in 2021, so we're coming up on 2 years now, was really to solidify all of that work and systematize it. We went through a period of planning with our community, over 20, I think closer to 30 partners, very solidly, visioning what that network needed to look like, and then co-creating how those linkages between our community and our clinical providers were going to work. As you know, ACEs are the adverse child experiences, study done by Kaiser back in the late 90s that identified these 3 domains of either abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction that does critically impact somebody's health and well-being throughout their lifetime. We have the opportunity to disrupt that. And then in this work, we've also had the opportunity to identify how do we disrupt that. And we're given some guidance on stress busters that can help with that. So how do we then connect folks once we've identified that they have had these childhood adversities to the resources that they need, and what are those in our community? So it's been really exciting. We've gone through planning, implementation, and systems change phases, and really thinking through how to make this sustainable throughout all of Orange County and grow our network of care. We had some very specific deliverables that included getting to know our network, establishing strong leadership and accountability, screening protocols for providers, as well as training our community-based organizations who are out there able to provide the services once we have those folks identified that they have needs. We have now moved into this really exciting phase of how do we make this system work for everyone, and making sure that those workflows and processes from a clinical perspective translate into helping the community. We have had this whole process been grounding in equity, making sure that it is the most vulnerable of our population that we are able to get to, and that includes cultural and linguistic responsiveness of both the screenings as well as how to talk about the resources that are available. one of the early processes in this was doing a co-creation of the vision and values for this trauma-informed network of care. And every time I read this, I get a little bit teary-eyed because like our Hope team shared, I am also one of these humans that has had a challenging childhood. And translating all of that into being able to do this work, it is highly, highly personal. I'm very excited that very closely we've been working with Chalk Children's Hospital. Terry will talk about that. Grew up with a mother who was a nurse at Chalk and did some amazing things in the community. And so this connection to the work is highly, like, I might cry, but our Orange County's trauma-informed network of care envisions a system that supports all residents in achieving their full potential to thrive by enacting radical cultural shifts to promote community healing of trauma, and by centering equity and inclusion to create systemic community change. Together, we will ensure individuals, families, and communities are connected to resources that find and work with them. And like Dr. Karen Lincoln said, this ties directly into many of our result areas: reducing stigma, identifying, preventing, and acting early, closing the gaps of those treatments. So it's not just, okay, we understand that you are suffering, but there's nothing we can do about it. We want to make sure that we can do something about it. And whether that is connecting to mental health support resources or other supports in the community that we know can mitigate those impacts of stress in our lifetime, making sure people get good sleep, healthy nutrition, getting outside into nature, physical activity, all of these things that we know we can intervene early on before we're reaching the stage of crisis. So I'm very grateful to be able to do this work as well. Thank you, Marshall and Dr. Lincoln. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Terry Eiler from Chalk, who's going to talk about the future of this work, where we're at now and where we're going. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andrea. You know, I have to say I was nervous getting up behind the mic and then have to follow this crew. I feel like Bill Nye the Science Guy after like a Michael Jackson concert or something, but I'm going to do my best to be as entertaining as possible and just appreciate all of your time today. So to share a little bit about the practice grant, for those that are familiar, there was 2 cycles of ACEs Aware grant funding that have come down the pike, and this really represents the 3rd cycle, or really 3rd iteration of funding from the state to support the trauma-informed network of care in Orange County and all the good work we've already been advancing. So you'll see on the screen here, these are really the 3 goals that are specified in the grant. They're provided to us from the Pop Health Innovation Lab and really provide a framework for this grant work moving forward. And as you'll see, the primary 3 categories or focuses of the work for ACES Cycle 3 is going to be partnerships, service development, and workforce development. But really within these domains and what we're trying to advance as a team is to define what that can look like. So while these are relatively prescribed domains under the grant RFA, we as a informed network of care have the opportunity to define what can this work look like? What should it what should this work look like in really co-creating that and defining that in partnership with you all and our community stakeholders. So here's a little bit more about the sort of key areas that featured in our practice proposal. And these were really areas identified as key drivers to advance our trauma-informed network of care work. So really what we're trying to do in ACES Cycle 3 is borrow from our learnings and all the rich insights we've gained under Cycles 1 and 2 of grant work and take those findings and continue forward and learn from what we've done, what's worked well, and where can we improve our processes, our workflows, our closed loop referral systems, the resources we're providing to our patients and families to make what we're doing effective, strategic, coordinated. We wanted to just take a moment to highlight there are many sort of collaborators advancing the practice grant work. It's really a collaboration across these key organizations. And the Population Health Innovation Lab is serving as sort of a coach and a partner for Chalk. We're the lead clinic entity on the grant, but working very close partnership with MindOC, AAPOC, First 5, OCDE, and a number of incredible coalitions and partners that are represented here today. We'll also be partnering with RAND on the evaluate what that evaluation will look. Understand that this is ACES cycle is very much focused on evidence-based practices, data-informed work. So there is a heavy emphasis on evaluation in this cycle. This is probably more detail than any one of us needs at this junction, but we wanted to put this slide in here just to show you how, in some senses, complex this grant is and multifaceted. So these are really the domains of our work plan, and I'll spare going into the painful detail of what this all means, but I did want to highlight that above all, this grant is really focused on sustainability. So how can we take, again, what we've been doing over these last years of the trauma-informed network of care work and make it sustainable into the future, fiscally sustainable, but also sustainable for our CBOs doing screenings and closed loop referrals, for our partners, all the way from the smallest clinics in the county, doing this screening work, to some of the bigger, more complex FQHCs and all the potential settings and entities in between. So that will be a big thrust of this work moving forward. And I think that concludes our portion, but we're really excited to partner with all of you on this next iteration of ACES work, and just so grateful for your time today. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry and Andrea. So you all are getting a really good sense of the idea of the portfolio of interventions that's advancing each of the result areas, because in each of these result areas, it's not just one program, it's actually multiple programs that are moving toward the goal of the result area. Our next presentation is going to be on supporting substance use services, the substance use services continuum, and I'm going to call up Rhiannon Dosher and Jennifer Brya.
I'm back, everybody. While I have the mic set to my level, I wanted to comment on a couple things about the Community Suicide Prevention Initiative. First of all, I could not do this work without Brent Soltis, who also just helped lower the microphone for me. He is my right hand in that work, and I adore you, and thank you so much for everything you do with that. I also feel the need to explain the ducks. So, ducks, is there any, how many of you in this room know when she's invoking the ducks, knows what that means? Okay, so maybe okay, so through our partnership with AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, they started this campaign that we stole and we share together shamelessly. It's called Duck Duck Hope. And these are little rubber duckies, just like you'd think, but they come in all shapes and sizes. They could be a unicorn, they could be shaped like they could be a Batman, they could be a unicorn. They run the gamut. They kind of represent diversity and uniqueness, like all of us. And then they have a little card that is associated with them that says you are not alone. And then you can brand them with crisis numbers and warm lines and any kind of messaging that you want. And so the Community Suicide Prevention Initiative is funded with county MHSA funding. And so we use that funding to purchase these ducks, and we take them to every community event that we go to. And you would not believe how popular they are with every age group, every ethnic group. People are attracted, start conversations, and people find a unique one that suits them. And with it, they take hope, they take the message that they are not alone, that they matter, and resources and hotlines on that. So that's what the ducks are. And we can stock the mobile vans with those ducks at any time. So let us know when you need them so that the ducks can make their way throughout the community. So anyway, I just wanted to say that, wrap that up with CSPI. So again, I am Jennifer Brya. I am part of the Be Well Mind OC team. And in addition to community suicide prevention, I also facilitate the Substance Use Disorder Leadership Coalition. We have a grant from the state. We have Youth Opioid Response Grant dollars. We were awarded in phase 1. We just wrapped up phase 2, and we are phase 3. And this is really a systems change focused grant. It is aimed at improving the entire system of care for substance use disorder, from prevention to treatment to recovery support. And our mission is to create a coordinated, accessible system of SUD treatment that supports all Orange County residents. And when I think about this grant, I think of there are three legs of the stool. So we have an unbelievable CBO partner in Mecca, and they are really handling the prevention, education, training, and community outreach components of this grant. We also partner with KCS Health Center. They are our clinical partner, and they are providing treatment. They're providing medication-assisted treatment for people with opioid use disorders. They have behavioral health and psychiatry services, addiction treatment and recovery groups for adolescents and adults. And then Mind OC, our role is to facilitate the monthly coalition, the SUD Leadership Coalition. And through that work, we're really trying to improve the overall system in terms of access to treatment, and particularly in transitions of care where people are most likely to fall through the cracks. This is, folks that are transitioning from a hospital back to the community, or from criminal justice settings back to the community. We're trying to make sure that people have continuity of care. So some of the issues that we work on in that coalition that is multi-sector and multifaceted is trying to establish and improve referral pathways, trying to address some of the incredible workforce and service capacity challenges that make it very hard for people to access services when and where they need them. And as Karen, is identifying, I'm sorry, Dr. Lincolns is identifying that this theme that we talk about, that preventing and acting early, trying to close treatment gaps where people fall through the cracks, and working to strengthening the crisis response system. I'm standing here and I have a microphone, so I can't go without acknowledging the unbelievable fentanyl crisis that we are in as a country. I learned earlier this week that more people have died from fentanyl overdoses than US military personnel have been killed during Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for Americans age 18 to 49. So as I said, with suicide prevention, it takes every single person in this room to do their part. This crisis will hit all of us at some point, and Rhiannon's going to talk about that too, in terms of the highlights that we've seen in just a year with this work and where we're going next. So as another plug, and I'll remind you guys again, we have brought Narcan kits to this meeting. We have 100 kits. John is modeling them right now. They save lives. We need everyone in this room to help us educate everyone we know about the fentanyl crisis and the interventions that will keep people alive. So before you leave, take a Narcan kit or two home with you. We have plenty. And now I would like to introduce a woman that I absolutely adore, Rhiannon Dosher from Mecca, who's going to talk about some of the highlights of this work. We could not do this work without the role of community-based partners working in community, trying to address stigma and educate others and offer support. So Rhiannon, tell us about the highlights and all the work that we have ahead of us.
I would be honored to do that. Hi, everybody. I'm Rhiannon Dosher, and I need this microphone a little higher. Thank you. I get the pleasure and honor of representing Mecca, the Multi-Ethnic Collaborative of Community Agencies, and the role of the Director of Programs. And I was going to start this conversation by saying I have a close nexus to substance use disorder and a personal and professional commitment to the work. But now that I understand that I'm in great community with people like Andrea and Memory, I will say that my life has been plagued by substance use disorder and trauma, and it really fuels a lot of my personal fire. But one thing that I really want to bring to light as we begin this conversation is a map that we got to put together. I hope this works. But this map really identified, Here we go. This map really identified a lot of the focuses of this meeting, that there are so many people in this community doing hard work for very similar purposes. However, all of the connections haven't been made. So we will joke that this originally looked like an eye, and now it looks a little bit more like a web or the beginning of a web. But it really identifies three key components of the work that we're doing around substance use disorder and all of the partners that could be a part of that work. So I doubt anyone has good enough eyes to really focus or hone in on that, but it is okay. I am here to say that we invite everybody to be on this map. I think everybody plays a role in substance use disorder and supporting the community. You'll see connections and lines, and you will see broken lines, and that really identifies where the areas of opportunity are in terms of working with more community to develop a better continuum for folks in need. So every single one of you could be on that map that will turn into a web, a very close-knit web, to ensure that our community members suffering with addiction do not fall through. Talk to us more about that later. That's a little key. That was just a map key. It's going to make no sense if you had not the opportunity to really hone in on the map, so I'll skip through that. I wanted to share some really great highlights that we were able to accomplish as a team, as Jennifer mentioned, with our clinical partner KCS, who don't believe is in the room today. We were able to accomplish some great things over the course of the grant period, and really just representing some of the high-level stuff that we did throughout the last year, is we were able to be really successful in providing outreach and education to diverse communities. We were able to provide education sessions that were really tailored to meet the needs of the community and community readiness. We understand that topics like substance use disorder are not always palatable for folks. So we really just wanted to begin that conversation, and that looked really different in terms of who we were working with as partners. We took really innovative approaches to our prevention and intervention, and we really solicited the feedback of our community to learn what is the right approach. What we learned is that there is not one singular right approach, but rather a collection of a lot of right approaches. We learned the importance of low barrier access to care. One of the initial activities that we did with this project is we brought together a group of young folks who represent diverse communities, and we said, what would get to you? What type of advertisement would make you feel like I am ready for treatment? And as you can imagine, we heard lots of different answers, but one really stood out to me. Young boy, he told me that if there was an option to interface relatability aspects with young folks who are experiencing SUD, we expanded harm reduction quite a bit. At our last meeting, I know Paige, our collaborative manager, got to share a little bit about our overdose prevention kits that we put together. So we actually have quite a few more units of Narcan. So if you want some, come see our table right over there. We also brought some literature with us that will kind of take a community-based organization through the method to order Narcan, to have Narcan on site in large amounts if that's what you could provide to your community. And we had a really wonderful youth conference. Part of that conference was the realization that we need to bring together much more than just topics among substance use disorder, but to relate things back to trauma and some of the reasons why young folks and folks have issues with substances. So we had 4 different breakout rooms. We had a wonderful presentation by the Be Well team to talk about trauma and ACEs, and it really helped stitch together some of those pieces for young folks. Lessons learned. I touched on this quite a bit. Again, we learned that there's not really a right approach necessarily to outreach, education, prevention, intervention, rather a series of right approaches. We learned that stigma continues to play a really deep role in one's recovery, and that there's even a stigma amongst the recovery community. Oh yeah, they're meth addicts. Oh yeah, they're fentanyl addicts. That happens a lot, that type of self-stigmatization in the communities of substance use disorder. And also there's a really large stigma around medication-assisted treatment for folks, especially those in the community. And we learned that diversity and entry points is critical. That's why we're here today, right? I think all of us can play a role in really expanding the entry points for folks who are ready to get support as they need it. So what's next? What's next? Again, as Jennifer mentioned, we are actively pursuing funding for another round of the state funding. And what we can do as a community is we can continue to reduce the stigma around harm reduction. We can increase access for Narcan for community-based organizations. Again, we've got some information on how to do that over here. We can continue to build compassion for those with substance use disorder and learn how to be a more compassionate community that really supports the needs of everyone. One thing very important to me, we can provide up-to-the-minute accurate information about the landscape of substance use disorder in Orange County. What you hear on the news is what you hear on the news, and what's happening in the community might be a little different. And finally, I'll leave it with developing and strengthening partnerships. The more the merrier, the more that we can service the community through community, the more successful we're going to be in our approach. Thank you for giving me the time to be here today. Again, as Jennifer mentioned, fentanyl is here. It's not going anywhere. Please stop by our table and learn a little bit more about how you can get fentanyl for your community-based organization or take some home with you today. No one wants that. Narcan, Narcan. We will not be giving anyone fentanyl today. Thank you very much.
One quick thing I wanted to say, because Rhiannon, I'm tippy-toeing, Rhiannon didn't toot her own horn enough. Our YOR2 grant was really viewed as the state as being extremely successful because of the linkage between the prevention, education, and community work, and then back to our clinical partner. So creating that clinical community linkage was really key. They also developed a slew of materials that are available on their website, and we will have them on the Be Well website as well. And in fact, the state was so impressed, they asked specifically for Mecca to package them all up so that they could distribute them throughout the state to all the other YOR grantees. So just thank you so much. The work that we do on these grants is not possible without our community partners, so thank you.
I beat Karen up here, so I get to say one thing. John Freeman, part of the Be Well Extravaganza. On the Narcan front, you got to have Narcan before you need it, not after you need it. So I really want to make sure that every single one of you walks out of here today with it so that you're not sitting in the situation where you have someone overdosing near you where you wish you had the Narcan you could have picked up out here. You can't wait for your clinical partners to give it out to people who they've identified as needing it. You need to make it available to everyone. Our clinical partners actually have a greater barrier to giving out Narcan than the CBOs do. So we want to make sure that we're pushing the Narcan out into the community-based organizations who really do have the opportunity to give it out much more openly than our clinical partners do. So take some Narcan.
Thank you, John. That was good. I have also been slipped a little message that I'm supposed to announce that a recording and the full slide deck will be available on our website. So for those of you who are hearing the streaming or watching the stream, for those of you in this room, same. And if you know anybody who missed this meeting that might be interested, let them know. Okay, so without further ado, I want to bring up Rosie Zoll, who is our intrepid leader, helping to spearhead the work around the second Be Well campus that's going to be in Irvine. And she's going to share with us kind of where things are and what the timeline is looking like moving forward. And I know Rosie's going to say this, but this is related to Result Area 5. That's my first slide. I'm pretty tall. Okay.
All right. It is an honor to be here, and I'm excited to share what has been over a 2-year journey to get to the point where we can finally say that we are going to be moving forward with the next campus in the city of Irvine. As Karen said, this is really kind of going back to the blueprint. This is all about Result Area 5 and building upon the amazing work that's already happened at the Orange campus and being able to take all the lessons learned from that campus and sort of transform into what is an amazing opportunity in Irvine, where we have just an incredible amount of space to create something really beautiful for the community. Over the last year and a half, we have spent many, many hours talking here with the whole Be Well community, with our community partners, with peers and alumni, coming and talking to the different result area groups and coalitions, talking with partners at the hospitals, the county, CalOptima, and really just trying to listen and learn about what we should be focusing on in Irvine. And through that, through those sort of discovery sessions and listening sessions, there was some really strong themes that emerged and I think echo a lot of what we've heard today. And one of the most important themes that rose to the top was how we need to do a better job providing access to our children and adolescents and the families, the whole family unit. And that's really driven a lot of the thinking around how this campus can start to come to life. So just a little bit about where we are. So this, I think many are probably familiar with the Great Park in Irvine. This will be across from the Great Park. There's a large piece of property there that's county-owned property, and through sort of an amazing partnership with the county, we have an opportunity to build and develop in this sort of prime location. We'll be developing this campus in many phases. We have a lot of space here, and so we're focusing right now just on what we're calling Area 1. This will be about 7 acres of property. It'll be the first phase here will be probably nearly 5 times the size of the Orange campus in terms of the outdoor space that we have to create really a space of wellness and healing. This first area will have mental health urgent care features for adults and adolescents. We'll have residential treatment programs, and we'll also start to develop outpatient programming and sort of holistic wellness and support services at the campus. And really the part that I think I'm the most excited about is what sits in the center of this campus, and that's really the places of kind of outdoor healing, with places for activities, for therapy, gardening, for kind of respite throughout the day. Just a little bit about timing. So we are excited to actually get started in the new year. So as we look forward to 2023, we will be starting in the early sort of few months of 2023, starting to actually get a construction team out onto the site and we need to kind of get the site ready, and then we'll start building buildings. And that'll take us about 1.5 years through the end of 2024. And during that time, we'll be planning all of the operations and the programs and services and working together with the community to define sort of the partnerships at this campus. And I'll share just a few images. We also brought some boards over here, which you can please take a look, just showing some renderings of what the campus will start to look like. So this will be the entry and welcoming into the campus, sort of an entry portal, welcoming the community onto this campus. This first building will have outpatient programs that'll have a kitchen and a cafe, kind of focusing on healthy eating and food as a part of the healing journey, and a place for community services where the community can come in and be a part of this campus. I mean, we've thought a lot about how to try to make this welcoming and sort of human scale in a place that people can feel comfortable. As you come through that entry portal into the campus and you're in that central courtyard, this is just looking around at some of the outdoor classroom spaces, places where you can meet with family or loved ones, starting to look at food and growing food as a kind of a therapy built into the space. This will be the urgent care building. And then sort of turning 180 degrees, looking back at the residential building that will have a gym that will kind of flow out into the outdoor space. I think that we're excited to get going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosie. I think that you can all see those images over there. I encourage you to take a look at that as you're leaving, because you can get a little more up close and personal with it. There's also a board that's leaning against the images, And those are actually quotes that were captured in one of the listening sessions with alumni from the Orange campus. So when Rosie's talking about the harvesting of ideas and input from the community, we really continue to want to do that. And this is definitely meant to be community centric and community driven in many ways. So we will be looking to all of you for continued input in terms of the development of this campus. So for now, I'm going to transition into something completely different. But if you remember back to the beginning of the meeting, you met Sherry from the Bank of America, B of A, and she and Marshall talked about a film that the B of A had commissioned and is narrated by Ken Burns called Hiding in Plain Sight, Youth Mental Illness. We're now going to show a trailer to get you excited about it because we will be doing showings in 2023. And when you're popping the popcorn that's on your table, just remember that in 2023, there will be opportunities to see this amazing film. And I'm going to say that this is related to many of the result areas too.
but the relief.
I'm standing up here. I'm not going on my tippy toes. Where are we at right now? We're here. I see. Okay, got it. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to come up right now, and I was kind of taken by that movie. So I'm just sort of sitting with it for a second, quite frankly. That was a pretty powerful couple of minutes, and some of you may have already seen the movie. For those that haven't, I encourage you to. And there's little things on your table in the QR code. We haven't identified exactly the where and the when, but if you go there and you can sign up, once that's decided, then we'll send it out. But this is worth seeing. And again, I wasn't expecting to talk on this, but I'm gonna for just a second. What struck me a lot about what we just saw and what I appreciate so much is one, anything Ken Burns is connected to is so incredibly impactful. But I loved where they said, the hope on the other side is as poignant as the pain. And for those of us in the room that are on the front lines of this stuff, Rihanna and the beautiful work in SUD and that entire mobile team that you're talking to, and Andrea with the ACEs work, we have the opportunity and the honor to sit with people in their most vulnerable. It's a pretty extraordinary thing. And then we have the honor to be with them on the upside of that and to be reminded that we push through. It's really something special. And for the people that came up here and not only shared the work that they do, but the way in which they've lived through their own struggle and come out the other side of that to then give that back. Man, what an awesome room to be sitting in right now. I'm just tremendously honored to be with you all. And I'm really, really humbled to be on this journey with all of you guys. Karen, don't ask me to speak after the little videos that are like Hallmark commercials. Gosh. I'm really happy to speak right in this moment, actually, and to be just sitting in this with you guys. I mean it. We just have such an extraordinary opportunity. And the work that's happening through Be Well, and what Romero described, it's a movement, and it is a movement. And we started this together, and it's still happening because we keep showing up and doing it together. And it's not easy, and we run into walls, and we trip and land and skin our knee, but we keep getting up, and we keep going forward. And because of that, it's strengthening and it's expanding, and we're watching the difference that it's making. And I'm very, very excited about what's next and what we're creating together. And I just want to thank you so much for showing up every day and doing what you guys do. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. It's awesome. I think Karen wanted me to talk about the priorities for 23. we're going to do much more of the same stuff that you all heard today. So the priority for 23 is to keep doing what we're doing, and do it stronger as possible. And I mean that. Yeah. What's that? Huh? Oh, there's slides I'm supposed to. Okay. There's a whole thing that we're supposed to be doing here. There's the QR code. There's a slide that tells you I'm supposed to be up here talking. So now we're good. We've got Microsoft's magic of PowerPoint telling us what we should be doing and saying at any moment. It's perfect. PowerPoint, what I do next. So we're going to do more of the same, and we're leaning in some pretty tremendous ways. The mobile program and that wonderful, beautiful team that you just met needs to expand and scale. We need to standardize, and I want to emphasize something Karen highlighted. That service is part of a broader continuum, working with existing county services that have been longstanding, and other initiatives that are coming up through cities, and to build a continuum of mobile response so that this is available for everybody in Orange County, no matter where you are. The facilities to make sure that there's access for everybody that needs access in the right environment when you need it, no matter where you are in the community. And so you see that with Rosie. But most importantly, I think the priority for 23 is to continue to expand and enhance the community initiatives like the ones you heard from Rihanna, like the ones you heard from Andrea and others, and that Jennifer's a part of, and so many of you. That's where the magic is happening, boots on the ground in community, at depth. And so that's what we're going to be really, really focusing on here in 2023. So I doubt that went the way that Karen was planning, but but there it is. And thank you all for being here and for everything you do. What a tremendous journey that we're on together. Awesome. Thanks.
And actually what Marshall did is exactly what I was hoping he would do, because he does that so well. And I really do want to kind of go back to, I think what Dr. Afable was referencing at the beginning of the meeting. A lot of this, there were little kernels of what Be Well could be that people had in their minds. 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. Something happened in 2018 where there was a critical mass of people who came together and said, we care. And we think that that transformation is possible. We think that we can improve things. We think that we can do something different. And it's really remarkable when we reflect back and say, wow, the blueprint and all of that work happened in 2018. And here we are now actually manifesting so much of the blueprint. We have a long way to go. This is the message from this meeting is not to say, hey, time to spike the football in the end zone because we're done, because we're not. We have a long journey ahead of us. But I think that the progress that has been made that you've heard about today gives a sense of momentum that we can really leverage and harness moving forward. And I hope that you all will be part of it and bring people into the coalition, because we need more people, we need more organizations, and we need kind of that effort in terms of and commitment to collective impact to build the social cohesion that will bring Orange County together. So it's the holiday season. I hope you all have wonderful next couple of weeks, time of reflection. We go from darkness to light. And thank you all so much for being here. And please hang around, socialize, come and talk to different people that you've heard from today. I know that we kind of gave the fire hose of information today. We didn't take a break to let you do any exercises or anything like that. We also didn't let you ask questions, but we really felt that it was important for us to share all this information today. So please hang out and enjoy yourselves. And thank you so much for being here.